Hello friends of analog film photography. In this video, which is also my first one, I want to give you an in-depth review of the Minox 35GL. Please leave some constructive critiques and comments under the video because I want to get better from video to video. Now enjoy! The Minox 35GL is a really small semi-automatic camera that loads 35mm film and has a 35mm lens. And when I say small, I mean it should fit into nearly any pocket. Let's have a closer look to the camera. Here you open the front of the camera to make the lens appear. That's pretty simple. Like so. On the lens itself you have the following possibilities. Here you can dial in the distance. And here your aperture. Since the camera is semi-automatic, it will decide which shutter speed to use. In the front of the lens you can find the light meter. Up here on the right you can find the place for the battery. You simply open this up with a tool or with your fingernails. I'll try to put this out right just really quickly. Okay, so that's how the place for the battery looks. What brings me to my next point, the battery. When I found the camera, I was running from shop to shop to find this really rare batteries. I'll try to show you here. It's a special battery. Let's put the camera beside for a moment. They told me that these things are not produced anymore, but luckily I found out that Minox itself brought out a solution for this problem. They created an adapter which takes 4 button cells to create this type of battery. I have it around here. It's like here. This is created by Minox, or Minox to say it correctly. And you simply put in 4 button cells and create a battery for you. So you put in the battery here, like so, and simply close the place for the battery again. Also note that this camera will not work without a battery. It is not only needed for the light meter, but also for the shutter. Okay, let's have a look on this side. The handle on the side is to move the film and to load the shutter. Due to the small form factor of the camera, you have to move it twice before you will be able to release the shutter. But I think that's not a big deal. On the downside of the camera, you find your ISO or ASA control, a button to unlock the film so you can rewind it once it's fully exposed. And of course a handle to open the camera to insert and remove the film. So you simply push this over, then you see the red button, which is also kind of a warning, a red dot I mean, that the camera is now open. And open the camera is really easy. You simply lay it down or take it in your hand and remove the backside. And bringing in the film into the camera is pretty easy, like with all other cameras. Okay, and we close this again, like so. Now let's have a look at the top of the camera. On the top of the camera you find a hot shoe for a flash, which is under this plastic. You can remove this. A switch, which says 2 times, 2x. And this button here, which is a battery tester. When you press it and the indicator on the light meter goes over 1/125th of a second, the battery is fine. When you test the battery, make sure the 2 times button is switched to off. This orange button, of course, is to release the shutter. Okay, let's talk about this little button here. The button which says 2 times is a really useful thing. For example, If you take a photo in a room against the bright light, the chances are huge that the camera will expose for the highlights and crush the shadows. If you now use this switch, your exposure time will be doubled. For example, a 500th of a second will become a 250th of a second, so you make sure that also your shadows are properly exposed. Really handy, really useful. And of course on the left, here we have our handle to rewind the film once it's fully exposed. And don't forget, if that's not working, simply push that button and then you should be able to rewind your film without any problems. Don't destroy your film and use violence or something like this. So no violence on here, simply push down there. And one tiny little thing I forgot to mention is there is a hole in this shutter release button here. And it's as simple as that. You can plug in a cable release thing. That's a cool thing. If you work from a tripod, you know, there's a tripod mount. And if you work from a tripod or on a tripod, then you could use a cable release. So I think that's really nearly all to say about this camera. One thing that I should mention is don't be afraid to use this camera just because you don't see what's in focus. This thing here comes in really handy and it works really great. And I have to say, as soon as you go as high as to an f8 or f5.6, the whole image should be sharp anyway. So that's a great thing. Now, in the end I will show you some images I shot with this camera, so they are not artistic in any way, these were just some testing images. And yeah, I've shot them on Ilford HP5 Plus, and they were developed in Adox Rodinal. And here I have to say that I made a mistake, so I've left the film in Rodinal for 30 seconds longer than I was originally planning, so I kind of pushed the film a tiny little bit. So it's not really a pushed film, but I pushed it without wanting to push it. But anyway, it looks great in my opinion. So yeah, let's have a look at the pictures and make yourself an opinion of the camera. If you want to see more reviews, tips and tricks about analog photography, cameras or whatever, hit that subscribe button down there, and I hope this was helpful for you and see you soon.